Hello, everybody. We will wait a few minutes per usual. Let some more people get on. Let's see. Somebody else is trying to get in. I'm going to grab my laptop charger really quick. We'll get started here in just a minute. Everybody doing good?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Let's see. Make sure I've got everybody in. Nobody in the waiting room. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and take attendance really quick. And then I'll read off the names to make sure I get everybody. So I got those two. Paisley, Erica, and Charles. Okay, I'm going to read off the names I have so I make sure I don't miss anybody. So I have Logan, Jennifer, Erica, Michaela, Malia, Charles, Paisley, and Akara. If I didn't say your name, let me know so I can get you down. But I think that is everybody. Oh, here comes somebody in the waiting room. Okay, so we will get started here in just a second. I'm going to let anybody else get on, check in the waiting room really quick. Okay, so today when we begin, I want to hear a little bit from you guys about what you wrote. So if you looked at your assignment on the Google Classroom, or if you were here last class, you had the assignment to write 3 to 5 sentences about what you think the background of the lottery could be. So if you have your 3 to 5 sentences, now I told you you could have this ready today or on Friday, but if you have it ready today, I want to hear from you what you wrote. So does anyone have their sentences, their kind of background ready to go? And I did this last class, so I'll do it for you guys too. If you don't want to say like out loud, if you don't want to speak, you can type it in the chat and I'll read it out for you. But either way, so this is going to count towards participation. And then I'll put you down, for the drawing for the gift card. So if you have yours, let's go ahead and start. Does anyone have one ready? Their background written and ready. Malia's going to type it. Okay.
I have mine. I can read it, but I don't know if it's really good or anything.
That's okay.
But
I'm sure it's good. Go ahead and read it for us.
I don't think so. Okay, so I just wrote background knowledge. I put the lottery background knowledge is that the book was published June 26, 1948. Another piece of background knowledge is that can't even read today, is that they think in the story, like everything that the grown-ups done, like it's passed down from like the children and like the smaller kids.
Right.
And then the author is Shirley Jackson, and the genre is a short story.
Yes, very good. So that's some good background information about the lottery. And like she said, we don't really know why the tradition started. It's definitely tradition based. And when we get into looking at the story, we'll look at some things that tell us that, like how we can see it is something that's been passed on from generation to generation, although we don't totally know why. Did anyone else write about why they think the lottery could have started or anything else about the background? Malia, are you typing yours still? Okay. Malia's going to type hers. Jennifer, Brianna. Is it Brianna or Brianna? I'm going to type it. If you want to bring it next class, that would be great. And then if you don't bring it, then just get it to me at some point so I know you did it. Okay, Akara says, I think the background of the lottery is that the lottery seems like it's a good thing, but in all actuality, it's not. We don't know why or how it started, but they keep it going for some reason. Okay, that's fine, Erica. So yes, so it is true. There's some irony in the fact that when we think of winning the lottery, we think, oh, that's a good thing. You get a lot of money. There's good things that come with that. However, in this sense, it's ironic because winning the lottery is a very negative thing. Okay. So there's definitely irony in that fact. And like she said, we don't know why or how it started, but they keep it going for some reason. And so that's kind of up to our interpretation, which is one of the beautiful things about literature, right? I can interpret it one way, you can look at it a different way, and both can be right because we have that creative liberty that Shirley Jackson has given us. She does not tell us a lot about the lottery. She tells us what happens in the event, but why it happens or for how long it has been going on, we don't really know. We just know it's a tradition that they kind of blindly follow. So Malia wrote, the lottery was an annual tradition where if your family drew the black dot, one of your family members had a chance of getting rocks threw at them until they died. The lottery takes place in a small town located in rural America on the morning of June 27th. So very good. Yeah. All good facts about the lottery. All those things are true. It is a small town in America. And I think something interesting, and we'll look at this a little closer later, is that when Jackson starts the story, you are not suspecting it to be so dark. The first paragraph is kind of just describing a normal morning in America. It seems like it could be anyone's life. And then we get to this really dark tradition that kind of captivates the audience. So very good job. So I'm going to write down the names of everyone that had theirs ready today. So we have Akara, Malia, Michaela, and Paisley. Okay, Paisley wrote, I think the lottery likely started as a religious sacrifice, and though the community lost the explicit religion of it or doesn't discuss the religion, they continue the sacrifices. Okay, so that's a possibility, right? It could have been a religious practice and the meaning kind of got lost over time. It's a really interesting take, and we don't know what that religion would be. We don't know what they would believe, but it could have been something that started as a religious practice, and over time it just became something accepted in the culture and everyone participated, whether they were in that religion or not. And even once that religion died out, possibly the lottery might have been something that remained. So that's a very good take, Paisley. Anyone else have an idea of what could have happened in the lottery? If not, we will move on. Okay, so those are good takes that you guys had. I'm glad you participated. It makes it much better when I hear you guys' ideas. I want to know what you're thinking as you read these stories. Does anybody have something that they kind of right off the bat after reading it wanted to say? Dwight says, I don't know what's going on. I joined late. That's okay. We are going over what you wrote for your assignment. So if you wrote 3 to 5 sentences about the background of the lottery, you can share it in the chat or you can turn on your mic and tell us. But that's what we're doing right now. So if anybody else has something they want to say, kind of your initial reaction after reading the lottery or something, a question you might have about it. Does anyone have anything like that they want to share? If not, that is okay. So we are actually going to watch, there is a short film about the lottery. and it is almost word for word like the story is set up. But I want you guys to watch it. I think seeing things visually, especially if you're a visual learner, can really help. So we're going to watch that video, and then we will come back, go over the lottery in a little more detail, and then we'll talk about what's going to happen next class. That's kind of the plan for today. So we're going to start off watching a short film of the lottery. It's almost exactly like the story is. If you kind of follow along in your book, if you want to, the lottery starts on 291. You'll see like a lot of the same exact dialogue and things like that haven't changed at all in the film adaptation. So I'm going to share my screen, and we will look at this.
Hey, there's lots over here.
Steve hates to eat those TV dinners. I don't blame him.
Dick Delacroix's a pest. I think he's cute. It's been a that second grade teacher.
The new roofer? Finished yesterday.
Come on, Harry, put it back.
You ever hear of taxes going down?
Then I'm going to finish it off with some lace around the sleeves.
Harry, you come here now. Sally.
Come here.
Bobby Martin.
You, Bob, come here, now. Little late today, folks. Guess this'll do it, Harry. Some of you fellas want to give me a hand? Come on, Bix. Thank you, Phil. Hi, Baxter. Think that should do it?
I forgot what day it was. I looked out the window and the kids was gone. I remembered it was the 27th. I came running. You're in time. Still getting
Do
ready.
you solemnly swear that you will perform without prejudice or favoritism those duties prescribed by custom and dictated by law?
I do.
Bill's up front.
Postmaster
See you
of
later.
this community, by the authority of my office, I appoint you master of the lottery.
Here comes Tessie, Bill. Thought we were gonna have to get on without you, Tessie.
You wouldn't have me leaving the dishes in the sink, would you, Joe?
Well, now, guess we better get started. Get this over with so as we can go back to work. Anybody else ain't here?
Dunbar.
Clyde Dunbar ain't here. Clyde Dunbar. That's right. He's broke his leg, hasn't he? Who's drawing for him this year?
I guess.
Janie, ain't you got a grown boy to do it for you?
Well, Horace ain't but 16 yet. I guess I'll have to do it myself this year.
Watson boy drawing this year? Here. I'm drawing for me and my ma.
Good boy, Jack. Glad to see your mother's got a man to do it.
Well, I guess that's everyone. Old man Warner make it? Here. All ready? I'll read the names then. Heads of families first. The men come up and draw a paper out of the box. Now keep the paper folded in your hand without looking at it until everyone's had a turn. Everything clear? Adam. Hi, Joe. Hi, Steve. Anderson. Bentham.
Seems like there's no time at all between lotteries anymore. Seems like only last week we got through with the last one. Yeah, time sure does go fast.
Clark. Morning, Andy.
Morning, Joe.
Delacroix. Hi, Stan.
Hi, Joe.
Dunbar.
There she goes. We're next.
Graves. Harvett. Hutchinson.
Get up there, Bill. That a girl, Tessie?
Jones.
They say over in Warren County they're talking about giving up the lottery.
Pack of crazy fools listening to the young folks. Nothing is good enough for them.
Judd.
First thing you know, everybody want to be going back to living in caves. Nobody work anymore. Live that way for a while.
Cleffer.
Used to be a saying, lottery in June, corn heavy soon. Next thing we'd know, we'd all be eating stewed chickweed and acorns.
Langley.
There's always been a lottery.
Hi, Mitch. Hi, Joe.
Bad enough to see young Joe Summers out there joking with everybody.
Martin.
Some places have already quit lotteries.
Nothing but trouble in that pack of young fools.
Overdyke.
I wish they'd hurry.
Percy. Robinson. Summers. Warner.
77th year I've been in the lottery. 77th time.
Watson.
Don't be nervous, Jack.
Take your time, son. Zanini. All right, George. All right, fellas.
Bill Hutchinson's got it.
You didn't give him time enough to pick the one he wanted. I saw you. You didn't give him time. It wasn't fair. Be a good sport, Tessie. We all took the same chance.
Well, everybody, that went pretty fast. Now we're going to have to be hurrying a little more to get done in time. Bill, you drew for the Hutchinson family. You got any other households in the Hutchinsons? Any in-laws? Grandchildren?
There's Don and Eva. Make them take their chance.
Daughters draw with their husbands' families. You know that as well as anyone else, Tessie.
It isn't fair.
I guess not, Joe. My married daughter draws with her husband's family. It's only fair. I got no other family except kids.
How many kids, Bill?
3. Nancy, Bill Jr., Davy, and Tessie and me.
All right, Harry, you got 4 tickets ready?
Yeah.
Drop them in the box. Take Bill's and put it in. Ready, Bill?
I think we should start over. It wasn't fair. That didn't give him time enough to choose. Everybody saw that. Well, you all saw that. Please listen to me. Joe didn't give Bill enough time.
You ready, Bill? Remember, take a slip and keep it folded until each person's taken one. Now, Harry, you help little Davy. Take the paper out of the box, Davy. Just take one. Harry, you hold it for him. Nancy? Bill Jr.? Tessie? Bill?
I hope it's not Nancy.
It ain't the way it used to be. People ain't the way they used to be.
All right, open the papers. Harry, you open up Davies. Nancy? Bill Jr.? Tessie? Bill? It's Tessie. Show us her paper, Bill. All right, folks, let's finish quickly.
Come on, hurry up. I can't run. You go ahead, I'll catch up with you. There, Davy. It's there.
Okay, so that is the end of the film. So sorry about my dog barking. I assume you guys could all hear that. My apologies. So anyways, I want to go through the lottery in your books now. So if you all turn, if you have your book to 291, we're just going to kind of look at a few things as we go through. And if you have comments or questions as we go along, you can turn your mic on and ask or say whatever you need to say. So it's interesting. I kind of alluded to this earlier that the very first paragraph kind of just starts like any other day. The morning of June 27th was clear and sunny with the fresh warmth of a full summer day. It sounds like a normal summer morning. We don't really expect something so dark to be happening because we see words like clear and sunny and morning. So we're thinking of something light and bright. And she kind of tricks us that way because we think that it's going to be maybe kind of a light story. We don't know what the lottery is to begin with. And so it sounds like it might be totally fine. However, we do kind of get the idea that this is an annual tradition right in the first paragraph. It says that some towns, some villages had to start 2 days early. And so they started on the 26th. So we know that there's something special about the 27th. The lottery needs to be finished on that day. So there's some hint at tradition there, but it's very vague on the first page. Well, then we get to the second page, page 292. And the very last paragraph is where I want you all to look. It says, the original paraphernalia for the lottery had been lost long ago. and the black box now resting on the stool had been put into use even before Old Man Warner, the oldest man in the town, was born. So this is some symbolism. The theme I want you guys to remember for the lottery is do not blindly follow tradition. That is what I think that the major theme is of this story. Now, here in a few minutes, if you want to be thinking about it, I'm going to ask you guys kind of what you think the biggest takeaway from this story is. But for me, one of the things that we see highlighted over and over is that this is a tradition and we don't exactly know why people are following it. Genesis, no, you don't have to stay if you were here yesterday. Sorry, I just now saw that. Anyways, the idea here on the bottom of 292 is that there's some symbolism showing that the meaning and the reasons for the lottery have been lost over time. So it talks about how the original paraphernalia for the lottery, the original box, the original paper they used for the notes, that's all been lost. And along with the physical things that represent the lottery being lost, so has the meaning. We don't know why they're doing this, and we're not really sure that they know why they're doing it. The meaning has been lost over time. It's very much tradition based. Again, on 293, we see every year after the lottery. This is something that happens time and time again. And it's happened, as far as we know, for a long time, because we see on 292, even before Old Man Warner, the oldest man in town, was born, this has been going on. Now we saw in the video, and you notice in your reading too, hopefully, that Old Man Warner is very interested in keeping this tradition, but he never really gives a rationale as to why people should be following it. It's just because, well, this is what we've always done. It's interesting also how the people don't really see this as a big deal. Did you guys notice that? As they talked about the lottery, it was something kind of like Tessie almost forgot to even come. The kids aren't really that worried about it. And it's a very different culture, right? If we had something like the lottery coming up, I assume that we would be dreading it. We'd be kind of looking at the calendar like, oh my goodness, it's in 3 days, it's in 2 days, it's today. I don't think we would forget something that significant. But this is a very different culture. And this is something that the people are kind of numb to, this idea of the lottery, even though someone will die that day and it could be them, but they're not that worried. They're very desensitized to the idea of the lottery. Now, it sounds like there are some precedents that go along with it. On 295, we see that they asked the lady if she has a son that will draw for her. So if there's no father in the household, he's passed away, not there for whatever reason, then the oldest son, once he turns 18, is able to draw for the family. So there's some precedents that are in place and have been, as far as we know, for a long time. Now on 296, we get the very first mention of like any anxiety, any dread for the lottery. And it's talking about Jack drawing for his mother, and it says he blinked his eyes nervously. And that is the very first time in the story where we really see anyone acting negatively towards the lottery, which is kind of crazy, once again, if we think about it. So a couple more times it talks about nervously, but there's never any stronger adverb than that. Nervously is kind of as anxious as people get about this event. Now there's one hint at why the lottery could have possibly been, and it's on 297, and it's in the second to last paragraph, about 4 lines down. It says, there used to be a saying about lottery in June, corn be heavy soon. So the only thing that might have been is that this was some type of like how there used to be like an Indian rain dance. Maybe this is some twisted version of that if we have this, then there will be a more plenteous harvest this year, something along those lines, because that used to be a saying, if we have the lottery, then in June, then there will be corn that is plentiful very soon. So it could be something like that. Maybe it coincidentally, one year they had a really good harvest after they had the lottery, and then it became kind of a legend that every time we have the lottery, we'll have a good harvest. We don't really know. But that's kind of the only hint we have about why the lottery could have been there. The other thing I want you guys to notice on 299, and you saw it in the film as well, when they have drawn the name of the Hutchinson family, they ask, is there anyone else that is related to you that needs to be in this pool of names. And she says, Mrs. Hutchinson says Eva, and Eva is her own daughter. So I think it's interesting that she was willing to put her own daughter's life at risk in hopes to save her own. That is how desensitized these people were to the idea of the lottery. They were willing as mothers to put their own children's life at risk in hopes of saving their own. So very different culture, of course, than we are used to here today. There's a little bit more irony because Tessie, of course, is the one who ends up being stoned. She's the winner of the lottery. And if you remember in the beginning of the story, she's the one that almost forgot to come to the lottery. She said, oh, I forgot it was today. You know, I noticed the kids weren't outside playing, so I came. She almost didn't even remember to come. And she was the one that won the lottery. So that kind of wraps up what I want you to kind of remember from the story. And once again, I think the biggest takeaway, maybe the major theme we could give to this story is do not blindly follow tradition. So I want to hear from you guys. Do you guys have any other maybe big takeaways that you see in the lottery? I'm going to check the chat. I know there's some things popping up. When we studied in my class, we thought that she might have tried to involve her older daughter to protect her young children. That is a possibility. Okay, that's a way I hadn't thought of it before, but sure, maybe she thought if I involve Eva, my son, I think Davy is his name, the youngest boy, maybe he'll be safe. That's definitely a possibility. Akar says, lottery in June, corn be heavy soon. Gives me the idea that they use the body as fertilizer. They could have, right? We don't know. There's so much we don't know about this story. And that's the fun thing kind of about reading it is you can really put anything you want into the story and it very well could be true because this society is not like our own. You know, it seems like almost nothing is out of the realm of possibility for these people, right? Anybody else have an idea or a takeaway from the lottery? You can turn your mic on or you can put it in the chat either way. No ideas? Somebody about to say something? No. There's another thing that we discussed. Maybe they stoned the victims to break the bones down so the remains could be spread as fertilizer easier. So it's a possibility, yeah, that's why they could have stoned someone. Now, in the last class, and I want to pose this question to you guys as well, we talked about, well, if this is tradition, right, if it's just a part of their culture, does morality matter? So, are there still morals that should govern a society, even if there's things that, well, we've done this for 200 years, we've done this for 90 years, should morals still govern that? So put in the chat or turn your mic on if you think morals should still govern a society's traditions, or if it's okay because they've done it for so long. What do you guys think? Even if you just put yes or no, or you want to give an explanation, that's fine too. But let me know what you think. Do you think that morals should still govern a society's traditions? So, Akar, you think that morals should not govern traditions? Is that what you're saying? Does anyone else think that they should not govern? Morals don't often matter to superstitions or religion, but it's often morals that leads an individual away from that idea. Right. And so often they don't. There are things that we say, well, because that's what we've always done, then it's okay, period. But do we think that that's okay? Should a moral, such as is killing someone right or wrong, should that moral matter no matter how long this has been going on? Or is there still things that are wrong regardless of tradition? I'm saying that just because it's been going on for a long time, it's not. Okay, that's what I thought you meant. but I wasn't sure. So yeah, just because something's been going on for a long time, some people might say that doesn't make it okay. It's still not okay to kill someone for no reason, even though it's something we've done for a long time. However, there might be others that say something similar to like what Paisley's written here, that morals don't matter because this is something we've done for 100 years. So because of that, we can kind of bypass the morality and say, well, we're doing this because it's tradition, not necessarily because it's moral. Okay. So it can kind of go both ways. And there's an argument. I'm not going to say you for sure have to think one thing or another. We can all have different opinions on it, but I want to hear from you guys what you think, because it is interesting to think of traditions about whether or not we should involve morality in those. With sacrifices, the whole point is that killing that person will save the whole group. Yes. But in this case, no one has to die, right? The lottery is being held for, as far as we know, no good reason. And so not everyone has to die. If Tessie doesn't die, it doesn't mean everyone else is going to die, right? So there may be situations where there's a sacrifice of one person for the greater good. However, in this situation, we don't really see what the greater good is, right? Does anyone have to die? As far as we know, no one has to die. This is just something that they've chosen to do as a society. I'm just giving you guys a few more minutes to think about it. If anybody else has something to say, go ahead, and then we'll talk about a few other things before we wrap up today. Okay. So good discussion. If anybody has questions or comments still, you can still put them in the chat and we'll come back to it. But for now, I want to talk to you about what we're going to be doing next class period, and then a few other little things we need to go over. So next class, we are going to be talking about the lottery once again, but we are going to be talking about it in compare contrast style with the Hunger Games. So I mentioned, I think last class to you guys, it may have been the other group, but I think it was to you guys, that if you're not already familiar with the Hunger Games, it might be helpful to just glance over it. Now, next class, we are going to watch like part of the beginning of the Hunger Games together. So you'll be fine if you don't have any outside knowledge. But if you do have some idea of what the Hunger Games is about and how it could be similar to the lottery, that might help you next class. So I just want to throw that out there so everyone is aware. We're going to be looking at, I have a worksheet I'll be sending you guys, and we'll be looking at the differences and the similarities between the two. And so there's a lot of room for discussion there again, and participation, so you can get your name entered a couple more times. So that's going to be next class. And the next thing I want to talk about is your assignments. So for this class, like for today, I just kind of had you share your assignment in class. You didn't have to turn anything in. But starting at the end of this week, your assignments are going to be like submission based. So that way it's just easier for us to keep track of who's doing the work and who's not. So this way we are able to keep track, but it's just a little bit harder when it's based on participation and things like that. So you're still going to have the ability to get participation, your name drawn and stuff like that, like I talked about. But now I'm going to start making a spot where you can submit a Google Doc or a Word document, or I think you can still submit it from your Rocketbook, things like that. But you'll submit it by Wednesdays at 5. So I'll put the due date on there, but Wednesdays at 5 is going to be your time to submit it. And then when you get to class, I will already have your assignment. So you'll still have the ability to share it in class. If you don't want to, I can read it, whatever. But this way we know that everyone has done the assignment and we can give you credit for it and you don't lose any money. None of those things will happen to you. Okay. So that's how the assignments are going to go until the end of the summer. So I just wanted to let you guys know that you'll be seeing your next assignment pop up with like a submission box. You may even just be able to type in a comment. I'm not exactly sure how it'll work, but it should be easy enough for you guys to do. Okay. And none of your assignments are that difficult. Just never is it going to be more than 3 to 5 sentences. Okay. Along with your reading. the final thing I want to talk about, let me check the chat 1 second. Can someone tell me, Tammy or Miss Cox, if they could put me back in Remind? I accidentally left all my classes and it won't let me text on Remind. Okay, yes, I will text Tammy or Amy and see what they say. I don't know if I can get you back in, but somebody can get you back in. So we'll figure it out some way. Okay, final thing. If you are watching this as a recording, okay, I have been getting questions from people watching the recordings about what's the question I'm supposed to answer to prove I watched it. Some have been answering a question that I asked like at the very beginning of the video, which tells me you're probably not watching the whole video, okay? I make it very clear at the end what the question's going to be, okay? So if you are watching this as a recording, or if you are in this class and you'll be watching videos as a recording later, I will mention very specifically that this is the question for those watching later to answer, okay? So I don't want you saying, what's the question that I'm supposed to answer? Well, if you watch the whole video, you shouldn't have any problem figuring that out, okay? So watch the whole video. Then when we get to the question, I will tell you that this is for those watching the recording, and then you can type out your answer and get it to me through email, through Remind, or through Google Classroom. Those are your options, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and address the question. If you're watching this as a recording, this is what you need to get to me to get credit for attending the class. If you don't answer the question or write the statement, whatever it's going to be, I can't give you credit for watching because I don't know that you've watched unless you've answered the question. There's a reason that I put these towards the end of the video, because then I can make sure you watch from the top to the bottom, okay? So help me out with that if you're watching recording now, or if any of you that are in here are going to be watching recordings, you know, say next week, I'm not going to be able to watch live. This is how it works, okay? So you watch the whole video, the question's at the end, you answer the question, you get it to me, you get credit, okay? So my question for those watching later, I need you to give me one reason that we discussed in class for why the lottery might have existed. So you can give me a reason your classmate, someone in here said, give me a reason that I stated. Either one of those will do, but give me a reason as to why the lottery might have existed. So this one, I don't want your own opinion. I want something we said in class. That way I know you watched and paid attention through the whole thing, okay? So that is for those watching the recording, okay? If you're in this class right now, you do not have to go back and watch this recording, okay? So I don't want you to get confused with that either. If you attend the live, you don't have to come back and watch a recording, you're done, okay? Any other questions, comments, concerns about the lottery, the class, the summer, anything like that? If not, I will let you guys go and have a great evening, okay? Enjoy your time off. I think this is your last class of the day, so have a good afternoon, guys.
Miss Allie.
Bye.
Miss
Oh, do you have a
Allie.
question? Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I accidentally left the class on
Okay.
all of my Remind, and it's not. It says I cannot get back in.
Okay.
And I tried
I'm
emailing
gonna
them, but
text-
that's not even sending.
Okay, I'm gonna text Amy right now.
Okay.
Let's see, hold on. Amy. Okay, you're Michaela, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Michaela's logged out of all the classes on Google Classroom, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And add her back. Okay, I'm gonna send this to her. She is in the office, so she should be able to add you back. I will try to do it on my end. Is it phone number based? Let's see.
It's my email.
Recording.